Hi, how you doing? I'm Glenn. Welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to talk about adding color to your pyrography, what I like to use. There's a bunch of different mediums that I do use in my pyrography. I use watercolors, I use acrylic paint, I use colored pencil, and I get into using some dyes with my shellac. Um, I'll start off with the watercolors. What I love about watercolor is it's easy to clean up, number one, and the paint lasts an unbelievable amount of time because you can always reactivate it. The grain of the wood pops right through it. It's beautiful coloring. The one downside to it is that you should put it behind glass or put some sort of non-water-based fixative on it or varnish. Um, the reason why is because watercolor is very fragile to UV light. So if it's in direct sunlight, near a window and the sun's constantly beating on it, the colors will fade after time. So the glass will help kind of reflect that a little bit. The fixative, like a varnish or a spray fixative, they will all help prolong the color in the painting. But make sure that you use a spray. I find that if you brush it on, there could be a possibility that you'll kind of smudge it because what you'll do is reactivate the pigment. That's why you don't want to use a water base. But any type of liquid will kind of reactivate that pigment. So you want to be mindful of that. Um, Another option that you can use is acrylic paints. They're great, and you can also paint as if they are watercolor. So all you really need to do is water down your acrylic paint. It takes a very little bit of acrylic paint, like, you know, tiny bit on the edge of your brush, and you add in that water, and you get a little test piece, and you can see what consistency you want. Do you want to go full watercolor? Do you want to have it more opaque? And what's great about the acrylic is it's not as fragile to UV light, but the sun will fade the color. Sun fades almost every fabric color, your walls inside your house. So with the acrylic paint, what I do is I put a water-based polyurethane, and the reason why I can use water-based on it because it's acrylic, and the acrylic doesn't get reactivated. And I brush it on, works great, and that adds protection. You can also put it behind glass. Some of my pieces I do put behind glass. Um, Another great medium that I love to use, especially when it comes to pet portraits, is colored pencils because with the colored pencils you can really you know get the definition in the hair by just adding that little bit of highlights and everything. It really makes it pop. um, and as far as with the UV light, again, it's still can still get faded after time, so you can use the water-based polyurethane. And the type of polyurethane that I do like to use is either a matte finish or a semi-gloss. I don't like to go with a high gloss because that's just my own personal preference on that. So, you can do whatever you want. If you want to have that high gloss finish, by all means. I personally like to use like a semi-gloss or a matte finish. It just doesn't take away from the piece. Um, Once in a while, depending on the piece that I'm working on, I'll add um, markers, but make sure the markers are like an acrylic based marker. If you use something like a Sharpie, what's going to happen is it's going to bleed into the wood grain. So you'll get like these little shriek marks. So using something like a Sharpie, a heavy pigment marker is not really going to work well. So if you use an acrylic base, that works perfect. Posca is one of the brands that, is an acrylic based paint, and it works very well. It's got a really nice coating to it. There's another brand that I use as well. I just can't remember the name of it. Can't really see it in the picture there, but when I do the markers, it's always going to be a very opaque color to it. So really, for me, depends on the piece that I'm working on. For an example, like this piece here, the whole border, I use a purple acrylic marker, very opaque, but it's just what worked with this piece is what I wanted to do. Um, Other things that I do is I'll mix mediums a lot. So I'll use the acrylic paint and shellac with some dye into the shellac, like this dragon piece here. Uh, the red behind the dragon, what I did was I mixed up, a reddish color with my acrylics, watered it down a little bit to get some of the wood grain still showing through, and I kind of brushed that on and faded it in. And then what I did was I took my homemade shellac, a garnet shellac, which has got like a reddish tone already, but I added a little bit of red dye into it just to make it pop with the redness more. Um, and I wanted to really have the grain and the modeling of this beautiful piece of maple that I got. I really wanted to show that through, so that's why I used the shellac, and it also gave a nice um, finish as a fixative, so it won't fade as quickly. And as you can see, came out, I feel it came out really well. I love it, and it worked really well for this piece. With the examples of using colored pencil with the pet portraits that I was talking about, like this wolf here, this is also, I use mixed mediums. So all the hairs are done with my colored pencils. I used a few different colors, like I used some grays, blues, whites, and a little bit of purple in there. The background, what I did was I took, my acrylic paint, watered it down a little bit, and gave that nice bluish gray background color to it. Um, Other pet portraits that I did, like this one here of this, I loved it without adding color, but in the photograph that I was given, that handkerchief scarf, it was just, it was standing out to me. I wanted to incorporate that color, that nice purple color into there. So what I did was I added the colored pencil into it, the, you know, give that little bit of purplish into the scarf or bandana, whatever it was. Couldn't really tell in the picture. And then what I did was I got some, a little bit of brown and some white because it is a white dog. So I wanted to bring some of that white into it. The watercolors that I've done is, for example, this tree here. The whole background is done in watercolor. I did mix the colors together to get that tone. So I wanted to go from like, kind of like a burgundy mauve into a purple. So I mixed all that and blended them together, and the watercolors work really well with blending. Um, Another piece that I did was this one here, the whole, the yellow background. I wanted the flowers to be very soft. So that's why I used the watercolor, because creates that effect a little bit more. And I find that it's not as easy with the acrylic paint to do that. So I went with the watercolor. And what I did was I wet the entire piece of wood down, added the yellow, and made sure that the wood was still nice and wet. And then I just kind of like dapped in the color to give that nice softness to the flowers. Um, I'll have other videos of me actually working and using the color. Um, so I'll be posting those up shortly. I just have to make a couple of pieces that I feel will add some color to it. But please, if you like what I'm showing you and everything, and some of the tutorials, if you have any ideas, please send me an email. My email is contact@turningtrunks.com. You can also drop a message here. And please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll have a whole bunch of more videos showing very shortly. Hope you enjoyed, and talk to you soon.